Chapter 15. Northwest Boat Kong.
As Matthias reviewed the live feed encapsulated within his orb shield, tension radiated from his jaw, a physical manifestation of his inner turmoil. The fugitive mass murderer was seeking refuge among those who offered nothing but kindness. The elderly cat and the youthful woman of mixed heritage extended their warmth without reservation, fully aware of his dark deeds. Their acceptance, especially the healers, of his tales of a past life, bordered on the incredulous. Feeling the need to connect, Matthias initiated a call to Thor via a data globe nestled in his palm. The quantum physicist's image shimmered into view, his forehead glistening with exertion. Caught up in the drone feeds, Matthias inquired, his tone edged.
Indeed,
Thor responded, shifting the focus of his data globe to showcase the serene gathering of the three individuals around their communal table.
The anticipation of uncovering hidden truths, especially those that might stretch beyond our known confines, is exciting. Anna's arrival might mix things up, curious about her secrets.
Matthias's frustration spilled over. Are you aware that the man you're so intrigued by is Kalak's infamous fugitive? Thor's acknowledgement came without hesitation, his interest undiminished by the revelation.
Fully aware. Yet, I implore patience. Anna may shed light on mysteries yet untold.
The notion of delay grated on Matthias, his sense of duty clashing with the physicist's quest for knowledge. He poses a risk, Thor. I should inform the LSS.
Let's not act hastily, not before we have the full picture.
Matthias tapped his data globe, unsettled by the thought of waiting. Matthias orchestrated his surveillance with a level of sophistication that left little to chance. Before dawn had fully broken, he was already navigating his way towards Kat Town in North Boat Kong, the quiet streets facilitating his journey towards the intended target. The temple, nestled in a tranquil neighborhood, presented the perfect backdrop for his covert operations. Upon arrival, Matthias donned his monitor glasses, a crucial tool in his espionage arsenal, and prepared the magnetic programming disk with meticulous care. The temple drone, obedient to its new programming, seamlessly transitioned to his exclusive command. Chen's morning routine was simple compared to Matthias's complex surveillance tactics as he emerged. The deployment of a mosquito drone, its path guided by an invisible laser, was a masterstroke, allowing Matthias to tag Chen discreetly. This, coupled with the strategic repositioning of Drone 1, ensured that Thor remained oblivious to the shift in surveillance dynamics. Matthias's head ached with the burden of his mission, yet his focus remained unyielded. Through his monitor glasses, he maintained vigilant oversight over both drones. Drone 1 served as a decoy, maintaining the illusion of continuity in their observation of Chen, while Drone 2 lay in wait, ready to capture the crucial moments of Anna's arrival and the secrets she might unveil. His dual drone strategy emphasized Matthias's commitment to his aim of keeping vital information away from Thor, effectively balancing deception and intelligence gathering. If Thor knew where Anna was, she'd be experimented on and worse. Throughout the unfolding situation, he stayed ready to adjust, his vigilant gaze fixed through his monitor glasses, ready to uncover the mysteries surrounding Chen, Anna, and the temple central to his mission. In the early hours, as West Boat Kong was quiet, Matthias found solitude in a dimly lit bar, nursing his third drink. The polished wood of the bar reflected his troubled expression back at him. The news of his former girlfriend's passing and the revelation of his paternity had just reached him, stirring a turmoil of emotions. She had left him for his closest friend, all the while concealing the existence of their son. 5 years had slipped by, without a hint of his fatherhood being disclosed to him. Observing his son's photo, Matthias noted the resemblance in their dark, expressive eyes, despite the lighter shade of the boy's skin. Darwin was now at a Sky City boarding school, believed another man to be his father, a man who had relinquished all ties to the child, leaving Matthias as the sole guardian. The daunting task of introducing himself as Darwin's father under such grim circumstances loomed over him, an introduction marred by the delivery of tragic news. Matthias harbored hope that uncovering the truth about his sister, Ebony, would mark the end of the pervasive shadow cast over his life. With resolution, he envisioned leaving his job to embrace his role as a parent fully. The vibration of his holophone interrupted his contemplation and projected Thor's figure into the dim bar light.
"Where on Voria are you?"
In a bar. Matthias slurred.
"Get back. The redhead has appeared."
Cursing under his breath, Matthias hurried home, anxiety mounting with each step. Firing up the live feed, the fear of what he might have missed during his absence gripped him.
A week had passed since Quinn's treatment when Ruby's urgent knocks echoed at his door.
"Anna's here. Hurry."
Awakening, Quinn checked his clock. It showed hour 40. Ruby's voice, filled with excitement, continued,
"I'm off to tell Chen. Anna has something important to share."
Quinn quickly dressed and, with the aid of his crutches, made his way downstairs. The light under a door guided him to the gathering. He entered the brightly lit tea room, where Chen and Ruby waited by the low table. Acknowledging the redhead across from him, Quinn noted the distinctive pink scar under her eye.
"Time is short.
Anna started.
This meeting is overdue. The absence of rainfall delayed it."
Chen tilted his head to the side, then scratched a wispy eyebrow.
"What do you mean?"
Teleportation requires rain.
Quinn pieced together the mystery of Anna's abrupt disappearances. The weather was the key.
"But it's dry here."
Chen said. Anna replied.
Ghost Creek is where I'm bound. It's raining there.
"Dragonmouth's location?"
Chen asked, sipping his tea. Anna confirmed, leading Chen to muse about the place. It was the next large island along. He'd hoped to get there by boat with the money he'd stolen before Cade's men caught him. The memory of killing the people in the bank made him wince. He'd killed kids, too. Anna must have been reading his thoughts, for her next words jolted everyone.
Quinn's past actions warrant arrest.
The room tensed. Chen revealed the manipulation of Quinn's memories and said he was a good man, in truth. Anna was skeptical. Quinn, desperate, admitted to his confusion and misplaced memories of a life marred by violence. Chen shared his healing efforts and Quinn's reawakening to a past thought lost.
And you saw his alternative memories?
Anna asked.
"No, but Quinn's energy was off."
Chen clarified. Quinn looked down briefly before meeting her gaze again. "I'll deal with the consequences once I find out what my dreams are all about." Anna acknowledged his decision with a nod. Ruby, seizing the moment, asked,
"Can you help my mother escape from Drelia 7EG?
Quinn added his plea, "Can you check if the things in my dreams are real?" Anna's response was hesitant, her eyes welling up with emotion.
I'm unable to act as I once could. An accident at the Fire Slices complex left me physically impaired. My actual body is now paralyzed.
Ruby couldn't hide her dismay.
No.
Anna expressed regret over her role in a tragic incident.
It was my mistake. I never meant for so many to suffer.
Chen interjected.
"The androids were the direct cause."
Despite Chen's consolation, Anna remained tormented by the outcome of her actions, yet she found a silver lining.
I've been given a chance to return to Zars 5 light years away. I can reunite with my family.
Quinn puzzled over her origins. Ruby, curious about the government's gesture of a free ticket home, learned it was compensation for Anna's condition, believed to be caused by selenite mining in a Crimson Scar labor camp. Quinn wanted to know more about that, but time was short. She offered to teach them how to water Wayfar, a skill that could help Quinn and Ruby address their personal quests and atone for past actions. Anna emphasized caution, urging them to document their findings responsibly to aid the fight against human trafficking. Their conversation took a sudden turn when Anna spotted a mosquito drone, watching them on the table. As soon as she shouted,
Mosquito drone.
It whizzed up to the ceiling. As soon as Anna vanished, Quinn's tension increased tenfold. Was it possible Cade was still monitoring them? The presence of the drone made it clear they were under surveillance. Chen, to eliminate the intruder, swung an electric racket at the mosquito drone, but couldn't reach the high ceiling. In a fleeting moment, Anna materialized once more, slipping a note into Ruby's hands before she disappeared into the thin air again. Quinn urged Ruby to reveal the note's contents, wary of the implications of being watched. Ruby unfolded the note, her eyes scanning the message from Anna. Quinn read, too, covering it from the drone's view. The note detailed instructions for skywater shifting, also known as water wayfaring. It was the method which Anna used to journey wherever the mind desired and to shapeshift to. It explained this magical river, an amethyst pyramid, and using an orb shield to travel when it was raining. The note cautioned about the dangers, emphasizing the need for protection to avoid dire consequences like Anna's paralysis. As they absorbed the complexity of Anna's instructions, Chen, with an unexpected gesture, ate the note and chewed before swallowing, leaving Ruby and Quinn to rely solely on their memory. Quinn's gaze returned to the lurking drone, contemplating their next move. They were exposed, and flight was futile. As Ruby and Quinn shuffled cards in the tier room, the shadow of the mosquito drone's recent presence lingered in their minds, casting a pall over their attempts at normalcy. Chen's return from his morning Konggong session in the park with fellow cats was abrupt, his usual calm demeanor replaced by urgency.
Follow me,
He instructed, leading them to a rarely used part of the temple. They congregated on an austere mahogany bench as Chen activated the TV, breaking the silence of the secluded room. The screen lit up with the news of a volcanic eruption in Dragon Mouth, the island to the east of Kong, along the Crimson Scar. Ruby shrieked.
That's where Anna is.
Quinn, alarmed, sought clarity on Ghost Creek's proximity to the disaster. Chen, unsure, considered seeking maps for a precise understanding, but the news preempted his efforts. Detailed reports described a river tsunami wreaking havoc along Ghost Creek, culminating in a devastating pyroclastic flow. Ruby turned to Chen.
Do you think Anna was caught in it?
Chen's response was solemn, acknowledging the timing of Anna's departure and the eruption's coincidence. Inspired by Anna's instructions, Quinn came up with a cool idea to explore her hints on water wayfaring. Even though things were uncertain, Anna's advice gave them a way out. Chapter 16. Central Boat Kong. Disguised in the attire of a Kuan monk, complete with a maroon robe, straw hat, and sunglasses, Quinn accompanied Ruby and Chen on their journey to the Yakar River in the heart of Central Kong. The place was called Lumpur, and there were volcanoes and fertile jungles, ancient Oeanity temples, and modern pyramids, built by followers of the paragons of Volusha. Gazing out from the cab, they witnessed rain cascading from the sky, now a dark canvas because of the volcanic ash from the Dragon Mouth's volcanic eruption 3 days prior. Winding through the lush highland tea plantations and descending through the rice paddies, their cab finally wove its way into dense jungle, stopping before a rustic wooden cabin. The cab driver, after assisting with their luggage onto the veranda, remarked,
"This isn't the best time for a visit.
He glanced upwards.
It looks like it's going to be wet all week."
Good.
Chen responded, his tone even.
It suits our purpose.
With a shrug, the driver departed. While Ruby and Chen made themselves at home, Quinn ventured to the edge of the gully, the Yakar River flowing 5 meters beneath. Seeking access, he traced a path along the riverbank. The river became more shallow as he advanced. Where a meadow's path met his, he descended into the gully. The river's edge, adorned with silt banks, seemed inviting for repose, and massive driftwood pieces dotted the river's midsection. Noticing movement from a log, Quinn removed his footwear, hoisted his pants, and stepped into the water. A water snake, adorned with red, black, and white stripes, glided atop the water. Retreating to the safety of the bank, Quinn recognized the challenge of finding a tranquil spot from where to meditate and teleport. His thoughts then shifted to Ruby's hopes for her metaphysical visit to her mother at Drillia 7 UG, the sex slave colony on Kronos' moon, Polynia. There would be risks there and near the river. Upon his return to the cabin, the scent of smoke greeted him from the kitchen.
Oh no.
Ruby's voice carried from the kitchen. He followed her voice to find her at the sink, dealing with a scorched pan. After opening a window for ventilation, he approached the table where overcooked vegetables and undercooked red beans awaited. Sampling a bean, he found it still hard. "Is this your first attempt at cooking?" Ruby nodded, her forehead puckered.
Back on Drillia 7 UG, we had a cafeteria.
And the food there.
It was edible, at least.
Luxurious compared to being auctioned off, I suppose. Her expression darkened. Chen entered and stifled a yawn.
Anyone for dumplings?
They all agreed.
Anna had a fondness for them.
Chen mused, his voice tinged with nostalgia.
Why speak of her as if she's gone?
Ruby said. He sadly smiled and looked away, grabbing cooking stuff.
Who's up for eggs, garlic, and chives?
Sounds perfect. Quinn shared his earlier encounter with the snake. Chen suggested,
A safer spot would be higher up. There's a rope bridge further down.
Isn't it a busy bridge? I mean, don't people use it?
Ruby said.
We couldn't lie down and meditate on a rope bridge, surely.
Only locals use it at specific times.
Chen poured flour into a bowl and added water.
You could go when it's quiet.
And the height.
About 20 meters.
And the depth of the water beneath it.
That? I don't know.
Quinn, turning to Chen, asked, "Would you join me?" Chen, with a hint of jest, replied,
You doubt your own protection.
Quinn explained, "My focus will be elsewhere."
If I can rest beforehand, age hasn't spared me.
Chen gave them a squinty-eyed smirk.
Let's get these dumplings ready. Quinn, you handle the eggs. Ruby, chop the garlic and chives. I'll work on the pastry.
The next day it rained. Ruby gazed at the dripping jungle through the front passenger window of a rental car.
It's no good. Nowhere seems suitable to lie down and meditate.
What do you suggest we do? Chen steered a little too tightly around a bend. Let's go upriver to that shallow place, Quinn said. It's only a few miles from where we're staying.
But water snakes.
Ruby reminded him.
The road doesn't go upriver.
Chen said.
It takes a turn towards a town.
How far from town to Yakar River? Quinn asked.
I'm not sure.
I think you should drop us off, Chen. Me and Ruby will try this together.
Yeah. Don't worry about us.
Ruby said. Chen sighed.
Where shall I drop you?
At that town, Quinn said. After a 20-minute drive, Chen pulled over outside a string of shops and said goodbye. Ruby and Quinn shared an orb shield to stay dry and followed the footpath leading to the Yakar River for a mile. They pursued the path running parallel to the river, and after an hour, the gully flattened out. In the distance, stilted houses perched on either side, like pelicans waiting for surrounding plains to flood so they could catch fish. Ruby squinted and pointed.
Boats.
Perhaps we could offer a local some money to borrow one. Ruby's ponytail bounced as her pace picked up.
Let's try to buy some food too. I'm starved.
The locals will think we're rich if they see our orb shield.
Shall we power it off and get drenched?
Ruby asked. No, let them think what they like. She giggled.
Not sure how they'll treat a Lifro dressed like a Quan monk in these regions.
Paragons of Vulsha don't mind Quans. These locals shouldn't, anyway. They're not terrorists.
I know. Just saying.
If I take off my gear and they recognize me as a fugitive, that'll be worse. As the rain beat down on Lumper's mudflats, red-skinned women and girls sat on their sheltered verandas, weaving fishing nets. They were up high in their stilted houses and could likely see for miles, but this was no threat to the foreigners. None paid attention to Quinn and Ruby approaching 7 meters below, even with an expensive orb shield gleaming around them. Quinn slipped on his interpretation device as Ruby hollered at an overweight woman who was hanging wet laundry under her stilted house.
Excuse me. Are there any food stalls around here?
The woman pointed towards a wooden stilted house farther along. Quinn powered off the data globe. Under another stilted house, there was a rough-looking restaurant area where a man boiled a pot of water with peppercorns and chilies floating on its surface. On a counter sat plastic baskets overflowing with vegetables, river snails, mud prawns, bean products, and noodles. Ruby took an empty bowl and filled it with tofu balls, rice noodles, and various greens. Quinn copied. The man tipped their contents into 2 drop-down sieves and placed them in boiling water.
Soup with those.
Ruby nodded, so Quinn nodded too.
Peanut sauce? It's spicy.
They agreed and carried their meals to the only table, pulling 2 plastic stools from underneath. Outside, the rain thundered down. It was monsoon season, so the perfect time to teleport, carrying out Anna's instructions. After they slurped their food, Ruby asked the vendor if they could rent a boat for a few hours. His eyes lit up when she offered 5 million Crimson Scar dollars. He said they could take his boat for the day. Ruby warned the vendor they'd be using it to meditate on, and he laughed and directed them to a rowboat tied to a house stilt. Luckily, the monsoon had transitioned to a drizzle by the time they finished eating. Quinn hoped it would be enough to teleport. After the vendor pulled the rowboat in, they clambered aboard, and the man half undid the knot. No, Quinn said. We'll stay anchored and meditate like this. If anyone sees us, please tell them not to disturb us. The man smiled, lines radiating around his eyes, though those dark, glittering eyes looked suspicious. He nodded and left, anyhow, pleased with his payment. Ruby pulled fingers through her long black hair,
You go first. I can tell you're desperate to discover who that Silta woman from your dream is.
The first thing he really wanted to do was to find out if Nareem was okay. Although he'd slept with lots of hookers at the Fire Slicers complex, she'd taken his heart. Had she died like so many of Cade's other sex slaves during the Android Rebellion? He gazed across the slow-moving water, rippling under raindrops. Even though he stretched the orb shield around the boat, when he lay down, he still felt uncomfortable. The wooden boards were hard and wet through. He stared up at the thick gray clouds. Because Ruby was with him, and they'd come here to discover who he really was, he decided he'd have to find Nareem another time. Following Anna's instructions, which Chen had screwed up and eaten, Quinn slowed his breathing and bottled his breath in the top of each inhale and bottom of each exhale. It took time to become accustomed to that breathing pattern, but once he did, he scanned his body, relaxing every part. Releasing the tension from his abdomen was the most difficult. Once he was relaxed, he inwardly made his intention for his and Ruby's astral bodies to shift into the form of houseflies. Quinn and Ruby found themselves beside each other, navigating the ethereal landscape with a newfound mode of communication. Ruby tested their mental link.
Hi. Can you hear me if I talk in my mind?
Yep, Quinn confirmed.
Good.
I'll lead us. Quinn mind spoke. Take us to the Silta woman from my dreams. Make us appear mid-air as houseflies. Don't take us through space. Teleport us directly to that place where she is. They appeared somewhere green, but it was fuzzy.
Can you see straight yet?
Ruby asked. Sure can. Look at one of the many images from your compound eyes. Then it will spread out and your vision will be humanoid.
Ah, yes.
Ruby said to him in his mind.
Look through the trees. Is she the Silta from your dreams?
His heart tightened. Yes. They observed the woman with strawberry blonde hair and glittery yellow skin. Quinn knew her name was Sana. Suddenly, he knew she was his wife. In a moment of profound sorrow, she halted beside a grassy burial mound and sank to her knees. Quinn and Ruby flew closer. Sana laid her forehead on the grass and started crying. Eventually, she got on her knees and rubbed her eyes. Her words to the absent resonated in the air.
I miss you so much. The kids miss you. Your pa and ma won't die happy, knowing you died before them. We're all so broken.
Quinn, feeling a surge of emotions, contemplated revealing himself, but the arrival of a man halted his thoughts. The man had beige skin and a mop of mousy brown hair. He was a Lifro, like Quinn. He looked familiar. Quinn stiffened. He cocked his head, then shook it. Gary, the boy from my desert dream. My brother. He wished he could appear in front of them. He should, but this was all too crazy. Gary kneeled beside Quinn's wife.
Look, Sana, we all miss Quentin. Life won't be the same without him.
Quinn's world spun. That was his burial mound? Sana lifted her gaze to meet the man's eyes.
At least we have each other, Gary.
Their lips met in a kiss, followed by a warm embrace. Quinn's body quaked. He faced Ruby's fly form. My wife's kissing my brother. They think I'm dead.
Let's go.
Sana stood.
May and Lynn will be waiting.
Quinn felt like crying as he remembered his 4 daughters. Then his twin son's chubby baby faces billowed at the forefront of his mind. My children. Ruby, probably sensing the need for distance, suggested,
Let's leave, then return later. You can approach her another time.
No, I want to follow them now. Ruby proposed a compromise for safety, but Quinn's focus was singular. No, I want to see more of Sana. I miss her so much. What's she doing with my brother? Do my kids call him Dad? The notion filled him with a visceral dread. He'll be sorry for taking my wife. The abrupt shift back to reality left Quinn disoriented, the stark change in weather mirroring the abruptness of his emotional turmoil. The sky was blue and bright, and birds sang in the scattering of trees which surrounded the mud flats. But the cheery change in weather only twisted the knife in his back.
I didn't expect it to stop raining,
Ruby said.
That was a sudden jolt of reality. Do you think those visions were real?
Yep, they're real, he said without hesitation, even though nothing out of the ordinary was happening by the river.
So you think that was your wife?
Ruby pressed for clarity.
Yep, she was bowing to my grave.
Quinn confirmed, the weight of his revelation heavy in the air.
She has another lover now.
Ruby stated the painful truth. My brother, Quinn acknowledged. Ruby's apology was soft.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. If I find Nareem, I can forget about my wife.
You don't mean that.
She gently chided. He fought back the surge of emotions, his voice barely a whisper. I'm trying not to fall apart. Their conversation shifted, Ruby bringing up a concern.
We cannot search for your girlfriend or Anna now that it's stopped raining. I hope Anna didn't die in that eruption. What if she's still alive and needs our help?
The area's off limits, Ruby? The volcano's still erupting. After a moment, he admitted, I think she's dead.
I hope you're wrong.
Quentin made a request, a step towards reclaiming his identity. Can you call me Quentin from now on? I don't want to be related to that psycho, Quinn. With a light-hearted gesture, Ruby saluted.
Yes, sir. Yes, Quentin. Is that your real name?
It is. Someone messed with my memory like what Chen suggested.
But why? Who?
Ruby's gaze was fixed on the riverbank, watching two local boys collect water snails and put them in a basket. I'll need to find that out, too. The boat bobbed up and down on gentle ripples. The conversation took a deeper dive into Quentin's troubled past. I'm not sure how I could have believed so much that I was that man, and that was my past. I don't know how I could have killed all those people in the bank.
So, someone replaced your memory with Quinn's?
He nodded, a gesture filled with sorrow and realization. Quentin then made a heartbreaking revelation, looking into his empty hands. My memories are coming back.
What's new?
Ruby asked. Tears welled up in Quentin's eyes. I have kids.
Whoa.
He nodded again, reality pressing on him from all directions. It especially pressed on his heart. The rain began anew. Now it was Ruby's turn to see her mother on that terrible dystopian moon colony. Chapter 17. Mami Fuyuka.
Stars sparkled in the sky above the lunar landscape, encasing Mami Fuyuka's glass dome on the secretive lunar base, Drillia 7UG. Mami Fuyuka was busy gardening, removing weeds from around the young trees she had planted. After disposing of the weeds, she walked along the steel path, aware that removing these unwanted plants was essential for her trees to thrive and eventually bear fruits and nuts. Gardening was her escape, a way to process her grief, allowing her to experience her pain fully. It was during these moments, with her hands in the soil, that she could confront her feelings, letting them surface naturally. Before, she used to distract herself with studies or projects to avoid dealing with her loss, but that only led to a sense of numbness. Now, memories of her daughters brought a mix of pain and joy, despite the darkness in their stories. Crystal's murder, Ruby's forced servitude, and Moonstone and Onyx's fates. Her love for them endured, kept alive through cherished memories of their childhoods on Drillia 7UG. As a bird sang nearby, Mami Fuyuka took a moment to stretch and admire the stars through the dome. The sound of a waterfall in the greenhouse brought her back to the present, and realizing she was hungry, she headed to the entrance of a tunnel which led to the underground canteen. 2 guards blocked her path.
Mami Fuyuka.
Yes.
The director wants to see you.
Surprised, since she was unaware Drillia 7UG had a director, she followed the guards through previously unknown passages to a maglev train within a glass tube, a marvel she had never known existed on Kronos' moon. Inside the train, secured in a carriage, she marveled at the technology that allowed them to travel at incredible speeds through the base. When the train stopped at an underground terminal, a woman was waiting there. A young woman with cropped, bleached hair sat on a platform, her posture erect on a metal bench. Her attire comprised a tight black catsuit and red stilettos. The guards aided Mami Fuyuka as they exited the maglev tube. The woman came closer to them. Her large, piercing blue eyes captivated Mami Fuyuka.
I go by the name Cathrella. I am the director at this place. Can you come with me?
Mami Fuyuka, still feeling the adrenaline from her swift journey, trailed Cathrella and the guards through a series of passageways and an elevator that led them to a dome offering a panoramic view of a crater-dotted lunar valley below. This sight momentarily diverted Fuyuka's focus from the conversation. Gazing around, Fuyuka marveled. The view. It's vast. Cathrella, with a hint of pride, mentioned,
This is the pinnacle of Kronos, Mount Crone, standing at 6,000 meters.
Impressed, Fuyuka simply responded, astonishing. Cathrella invited Fuyuka to explore further. They walked past inviting seating and luxurious decor. the transparent flooring giving the illusion of floating above the lunar surface.
Do you like the view?
Kathrella asked, obviously noting Fuyuka's apprehension. It's breathtaking, but overwhelming, Fuyuka admitted. Laughing, Kathrella shared,
Few make the journey up here. It's refreshing to have company. How about a drink?
Once the guards departed, Fuyuka accepted the offer. Kathrella inquired,
Are you okay with sitting at the edge here?
Trying to sound casual, Fuyuka replied. Sure. With a tap of her heel, Kathrella conjured a seat from the floor, resembling a water-filled cushion. Fuyuka sank into it as Kathrella fetched drinks. Returning with 2 glasses, each garnished with cherries and cream, she handed one to Fuyuka, who took it, trying to mask her unease. Kathrella settled opposite Fuyuka, their drinks in hand. The silence stretched between them until Fuyuka, gathering her courage, asked, What's the reason for inviting me here? Kathrella's expression turned serious as she leaned forward, her gaze intensifying.
Where's Mommy Anastasia?
Fuyuka acted confused. She knew very well that the mystic she'd been secretly meeting to discuss her daughter's fates had vanished into mid-air when they last met in the Sweat Lodge. But she had to act ignorant. Sorry? Kathrella's brows furrowed, a hint of annoyance flickering across her features.
You know who Anastasia is.
Fuyuka nodded, recalling the redhead mystic vividly. The middle-aged woman had a terrible pentagram scar across her upper cheek and eyelid. Whenever and wherever Anastasia had been branded, she'd been lucky not to lose her sight in that eye. Yes, I saw her 2 months ago at the bathhouse.
And you're certain it was that long ago?
Kathrella pressed, her eyes narrowing. Absolutely. Why? Fuyuka's voice trembled slightly, betraying her nervousness. Kathrella's stance softened momentarily before she continued.
Anastasia has disappeared. She was last seen heading towards the quartz sweat vault. Right before you went in. You must have seen something.
Shaking her head, Fuyuka insisted. No, she wasn't there. I saw no one. Kathrella sighed, placing her glass on a newly summoned table.
I need another drink, but let's make this quick. Crystal.
The door opened, and Crystal, Fuyuka's tall daughter with auburn hair, entered, her demeanor vacant. Fuyuka gasped, Crystal. Kathrella ignored the interruption.
2 more drinks, please. The usual.
As Crystal moved to comply, Fuyuka's emotions overflowed. You have my daughter.
She was your daughter. After breaking our rules and rebelling against Ruby's exportation to Voria, her memories were erased.
Kathrella explained without a hint of empathy. Fuyuka, overwhelmed, approached her tall daughter and her auburn braid. Fuyuka attempted to connect with Crystal, but the teenager looked through her without a hint of recognition or love. Please, Mummy, Fuyuka begged the director. You have to give her back to me. Kathrella, unfazed, continued.
If you want Crystal back, tell me everything about Anastasia. All your conversations, everything.
Fuyuka, desperate, agreed to share everything about Anastasia, including a mysterious liberator called Anna who Anastasia had seen in the crystals, and including the fate of the Fire Slicer slaves.
So, Anastasia believed Anna would free the slaves, including Ruby.
Kathrella mused. Yes, but... Fuyuka's voice trailed off, anxiety clear. Kathrella concluded.
Most likely they perished in the escape attempt. Suffocated by smoke.
Fuyuka's heart sank. Ruby is...
dead.
Kathrella nodded grimly.
Quite likely.
Fuyuka's heart ached with a mix of hope and sorrow. She pressed against her chest, trying to ease the pain. Could Anna really have done this? Were her powers genuine? Kathrella confirmed.
Yes, everything Mommy Anastasia predicted came to pass. I've had the place under surveillance for years.
Pardon.
I heard all the conversations the witch had with all mummies who missed their daughters. She taught me a lot. She could really see into the future.
You knew all along, Fuyuka winced. Everything I talked about with Anastasia.
It was a test,
Kathrella admitted, turning towards the dome's edge.
Anna's actions have disrupted our operations significantly. Our key client, the Fire Slicers Mafia, is in disarray.
And you're sharing this with me because... Fuyuka's curiosity grew.
I need your help. As a spy within our community.
Kathrella revealed. outlining a plan to monitor for any unusual activity, particularly from Anna or her allies. And Crystal? Fuyuka's voice held a desperate hope.
I promise to return her to you with her memories intact,
Kathrella assured. Tears welled up in Fuyuka's eyes as she agreed to the terms. Back in the serenity of their greenhouse, surrounded by the scent of flowers and the sound of night birds, Fuyuka felt a profound sense of relief with Crystal by her side as they lay in Fuyuka's expansive bed. The fear of a dark future had lifted, replaced by the possibility of a peaceful life with one of her 4 daughters within Drillia 7UG's confines. However, Crystal struggled with the loss of time and separation from her sisters.
It's hard to accept losing 3 years and not knowing about Moonstone and Onyx, she lamented. Is Ruby really dead?
I don't know, Fuyuka said. Fuyuka tried to offer comfort. Loss is a common pain here, but having each other is our fortune. The years will fade into insignificance over time. Crystal, seeking reassurance, asked about Moonstone and Onyx. They're safe, according to Anastasia. Fuyuka responded cautiously, mindful of her promise to report any unusual contacts. They're not sex slaves, they're concubines to kind men. The presence of surveillance was a constant reminder of their agreement with Kathrella, casting a shadow over their newfound peace. Crystal rested her head on Mami Fuyuka's shoulder, her voice tinged with concern.
You're still worried about Ruby, aren't you?
Fuyuka tried to find solace in certainty. No matter what, Ruby's no longer bound by them. Their conversation turned to the omnipresent surveillance.
They're watching us, always, aren't they?
Crystal asked with fear in her voice. Yes, they are, Fuyuka confirmed.
And if Anna appears, will you inform Kathrella?
Crystal's question hung in the air, charged with implications. Fuyuka nodded, her loyalty to their small family overriding all else. I will. Our safety here together is what matters most. That night, as Crystal found solace in sleep, Fuyuka remained awake, tormented by thoughts of Ruby. She sought refuge in her greenhouse, hoping the familiar ritual of tending to her plants would ease her mind. However, Kathrella's haunting suggestions about Ruby's fate lingered, leaving her restless. Under the protective arch of roses, Fuyuka pondered their predicament. The idea of Anna reaching out filled her with dread, not because of the promised upheaval, but for the potential consequences of their precarious sanctuary within Drillia 7UG. Lost in thought, a peculiar sight caught her eye. A blackbird. The bird sang overhead. A lullaby Mami Fuyuka used to sing to her girls, safe in your mommy's arms, under the stars. She caught her breath. She concentrated on the bird's whereabouts, with her lips slightly open. With shiny eyes, the blackbird perched above her arch and stared at her. The creature leapt onto a climbing rose and extended its wings. The word Ruby was engraved on the white downy feathers. Fuyuka's muscles tensed up before she released them. Getting to her feet, she collected dead leaves and flowers around the shrubs. But how to respond? The ever-present surveillance threatened to thwart any attempt at communication. Fuyuka wrestled with her options, each fraught with risk. The stakes were too high. A misstep could cost them everything. By her waterfall, she sat while the bird flew into a tree nearby. Mami Fuyuka gave a nod in agreement. If Kathrella's bigger video drone would just float over to them, Anna could somehow be alerted that Drillia 7UG was waiting for her. Any additional odd behavior by the bird could result in it being vaporized by a drone or guard. Once more, the bird extended its wings. On one side, the words "I am" appeared underneath, while on the other side, Ruby appeared. Adrenaline shot through her veins. Mami Fuyuka's heart raced as she tapped her chest. Ruby was not dead. However, the warmth in her body quickly faded away. Ruby should avoid coming to Drillia 7UG under any circumstances. However, if Fuyuka informed Ruby directly, Kathrella would separate Crystal from her, possibly even causing harm. She stood and walked closer to the bird. Keeping her gaze on the waterfall, she made up a song. Come because you love me so, come because you care, but they're watching you and me, my dear, although you're unaware. The stars are gleaming on your face. The wind howls through your soul. I know you're here, but I don't want you. Just let me please grow old. Her song to the bird was a coded plea for caution, a mother's desperate bid to protect her child from unseen dangers. As she returned to bed, the encounter left her with a renewed sense of connection to Ruby. Ruby, her biological daughter and first child, was safe, well and free. By utilizing Anna's astral travel, Anastasia's prophecies proved accurate. Fuyuka returned to bed, to sleep beside her non-biological daughter. Crystal rolled over and found herself only centimeters away from Mummy Fuyuka's face. She extended her fingers towards Mummy Fuyuka's chin and ran them through the tips of her hair. It was Ruby who used to find solace in that, not Crystal.
I can't allow you to age in this place. I promise to be cautious.
Mummy Fuyuka knew Ruby was inhabiting Crystal's body. Without her encounters with the psychic Anastasia, Fuyuka would have never been ready to believe that. She clutched her hands in hers. "Oh, Crystal, my dear." "Ruby," she mouthed, nodding. "I hope Anna never tries to bring down Drillia 7UG. Otherwise, I'll have to tell Kathrella, the director."
"Why, Mummy Bummy?"
Mummy Fuyuka let out a relieved smile and sigh. That name was only used by Ruby. In Crystal's pupils, she could catch a glimpse of Ruby's soul. "Because Kathrella will take you away from me again if I keep any secrets, maybe kill you."
"Do you think Ruby's dead?"
"No."
"Good, neither do I."
As Mummy Fuyuka and Crystal were escorted to Kathrella's domain atop Mount Crone, anxiety coursed through Fuyuka, her mind echoing with silent prayers for safety. Upon arrival, they were greeted not by Kathrella but by her imposing guards, who led them into a space that felt more like an arena than a home. Kathrella, commanding the room in her striking attire, wasted no time in accusing them.
"You disobeyed me,"
she stated, her posture exuding authority. Confused and alarmed, Fuyuka responded, "I don't know what you mean." In response, a data globe materialized, vividly displaying the incriminating evidence. A black bird with the message, "I'm Ruby," while Fuyuka's own song echoed hauntingly around them. Faced with undeniable proof, Fuyuka attempted an apology, but Kathrella was unmoved.
"Guards, seize them."
As the guards handcuffed them, Crystal sobbed, struggling against the restraints. Crystal cried out, "Mummy," as the guards forcibly separated them. "Crystal," Mummy Fuyuka assured, "I love you. Don't give up. Someone will save us." Their guards' mocking retort,
"You're being shipped to different planets, Fuyuka. No one will save you. Drillia 7UG doesn't want you anymore."
left them with a chilling realization of their fate, marking a bleak turn in their already awful journey.
Chapter 18. Star Gems from Trion. During their journey back from the mudflats, Ruby eagerly shared her recent experiences with Quentin.
"I visited my mummy in the garden dome."
Mommy.
That's what the girls call their mothers on the moon camp. Many of the girls are not biologically theirs, but the mummies bring us up from babies, so they are like mothers.
Is your mommy not yours biologically?
She is. I'm her only biological daughter. My 3 sisters are not, but she loves us all the same.
Quentin nodded thoughtfully.
I took the form of a blackbird.
She continued.
I wrote, "I'm Ruby, with white feathers, among the black of my underwings."
Quentin asked, did she see the message? A spark lit up Ruby's eyes.
Yes, she did. But she sang a song to warn me off, saying Drillia 7UD has its eyes on her, urging me to stay away for her safety.
His brow furrowed in concern. Ruby continued, her voice a mix of excitement and sadness.
I also took over my sister's body, Crystal. I spoke to my mother through her, and she knew it was me.
Did your sister know it was you? Quentin's eyes bugged.
No, my mother did.
Did Crystal know you used her body?
I'm not sure. But it was as if my mother expected something like this to happen. She silently communicated that the director is aware of Anna's ability to traverse spaces magically.
Quentin found the information troubling. That's a concerning development. As they headed to their humble log cabin, Ruby couldn't stop detailing her intentions to dismantle Drillia 7UG's oppressive regime, to liberate the mothers and their daughters. Quentin, while listening, daydreamed about his own personal reconciliation, pondering a return to Ujena, imagining a reunion with Sana, his estranged wife. Despite past betrayals, he was prepared to forgive, to begin anew if she was willing. The following day, with the rain providing a rhythmic backdrop, Ruby and Quentin prepared for another venture. Quentin's legs, showing signs of recovery, suggested a brisk walk to Lumper's mudflats without crutches again. Once there, they boarded their boat, and Quentin laid a rug on the bottom for comfort, He offered Ruby the first turn, but she declined, her mind preoccupied with larger concerns.
I'm figuring out a plan for Drelia 7 EUG. I need to gather evidence without drawing attention or endangering anyone,
Ruby explained. Quentin nodded, understanding the delicacy of the situation. Let's make sure your family stays safe. Agreeing, Ruby postponed any direct search for her family until the timing was right, aware of Drelia 7 EUG's formidable security measures. Quentin offered his help, suggesting a future incursion of his own into the facility. Ruby contemplated Quentin's offer and the potential risks involved. We must be careful. Their conversation then veered towards the utilization of technology and androids, a tactic previously employed by Anna, hinting at a broader plan of action. Quentin, seeking a brief escape from their heavy planning, requested he shapeshift and teleport. First, he appeared as a ghost to see Nareem, and was pleased to see her dressed smartly in a white shirt and knee-length black skirt. Having an interview in some kind of high-tech sky city, the woman who interviewed her, in the gigantic glass orb of an office complex, shared Nareem's red and black stripy complexion. Quentin realized Nareem had somehow found the money to return to the country from which she came from. Nurner was also on planet Voria, but in the northern hemisphere. Unlike the Crimson Scar, Nurner was a rich country with a good infrastructure. Satisfied, he nodded. Take me back to my old workplace. Can you teleport me there as a fly? I just want to check it out with no danger. He sat inside a window with a curved shape. Familiar with compound eyes, he focused on one of the hundreds of images until it stretched out across his vision and merged into one. Transformed and navigating the confines of a spacecraft, he was in one of the newer space boats called a Starcraft. He'd refused to use one to fish because it didn't vibrate like the older model, and those vibrations made him such a damned good fisher. Unable to turn, he hovered away from the glass and flew around the spacecraft. Quentin marveled at the stars and the gas giant. The familiar storm spot of Trion made him feel nostalgic as he reminisced about his past life as a crystal harvester. He failed to identify the star gem harvester with indigo dreadlocks operating the control panel. He had to verify what had happened to him. Expressing his intention, he aimed to see someone he was familiar with in the company. In a bar, he floated beside a table where two men sat. One man had purple skin and the other man was a yellow-skinned Exilta, like Quentin's wife, Sana. Through the window stretched out a gray and stony landscape with silver puddles and streams. He recognized the purple-skinned Tlashua. It was Reed. Quentin inhabited the other man's body. Reed, Quentin asked. Do you remember Quentin? Reed paused briefly, glass in hand, before taking a sip.
Sure thing, buddy. He was my friend.
Quentin gazed at his yellow hand, clutching a glass of drink. Was it okay to eat and drink? He loosened his grip. What happened to him? Reed's fingers danced around his glass, his voice carrying a hint of resignation.
The ship was taken. I was out there, harvesting star gems, and pirates abducted him.
Seriously, Quentin said, shocked. Reed leaned away, a shadow crossing his face. And Sana? What did they tell her? The question seemed to amuse Reed.
You're acting weird today, aren't you? How long have you been out here?
Quentin fumbled for an answer.
A decade, isn't it? And you're acting like this is news to you.
Reed shook his head and chuckled before his face grew serious again.
It's a common tale here.
But what exactly did they tell her? Quentin pushed, needing to know. With a heavy sigh, Reed shared the grim fabrication.
They said an accident with his oxygen tank during a methane transfer. Blew him right out.
Quentin leaned in. And his memories. Did they erase and replace them? Reed signaled for another round of drinks, his casual demeanor returning.
Of course, that's the drill here.
Noticing Quentin's stunned look, he frowned.
Come on, you know how it works. Talmadon's always tweaking what we remember.
Quentin pondered the implications. But what if he made it? Remembered everything. Reed shook his head, skeptical.
Surviving that and the star gems? Unlikely.
Quentin's mind raced, connecting dots to a narrative he'd been fed about being a fugitive. Staring at the metallic sheen of the methane lakes outside, he ventured further. Imagine just for a second he got back. Told his family he was alive. Reed dismissed the idea outright.
Won't ever happen.
But if it did?
Then Talmadon's got a bullet with his name on it the moment he steps foot in Lerony's space.
Quentin's stomach churned. He clenched his jaw in frustration. How could he ever reunite with Sana and their kids under such circumstances? The thought of his family, now seemingly belonging to another, tormented him deeply. After Ruby had retired for the night, Quentin found comfort on a warm rug in the living room, while Chen worked with meticulousness, inserting needles at carefully chosen points on Quentin's body.
Just let go of the tension,
Chen advised before leaving Quentin to absorb the treatment's full effects. Upon his return, Chen carefully removed the needles, indicating the end of the session. As they settled on the porch with their green tea, the serene night around them filled with the calls of nocturnal birds. Chen turned his attention to Quentin.
You seem distant tonight. Tell me, what's on your mind? Did something unsettling happen during your outing?
Quentin, stirring from his contemplation, met Chen's gaze. I revisited my past. I worked as a star gem harvester for Talmadon.
Talmadon? The energy giant from Leron?
Chen became curious when Quentin mentioned Leron's premier energy corporation, which was known for utilizing star gems in advanced space-based solar panel technology and for venturing into the black market without ethical considerations.
How's it possible to harvest star gems from a gas giant?
Chen questioned. Quentin delved deeper into the Leronese government's scientific yet secretive breakthroughs and the darker aspects of his former employment. Talmadon ensures the protection of its secrets by equipping Stargem harvesters with alternate memory chips and embedded bioweaponry, allowing any compromised individual to erase their genuine memories.
In Leron? The place everyone talks about as a utopia.
Chen struggled to come to terms with this, considering his former perception of the fertile moon.
And now? How do you plan to return to your family?
Quentin's story laid bare the harsh realities of corporate espionage and the personal sacrifices made by those caught in the crossfire. That's the catch, isn't it? If I even try to sneak back, Talmadon's got eyes that spot me miles away. I'll be assassinated. Chen paced to the railing, his slight frame casting a shadow in the moonlight.
So what's your move? Ruby's cooking up schemes, but what about you?
Quentin scrubbed a hand over his face. Guess I could hang around your place, or maybe I could be the guy who takes Talmadon down a notch. Chen turned, skeptical.
And how would that go?
Tell the Leronese Secret Service or Leronese Interstellar Police. Chen huffed.
You think they don't know? They're Leronese? They might be secretly working together with Talmadon, keeping their hands clean while running the entire operation?
Quentin stood and scanned the dark forest, leaning against the railing and mulling it over. But maybe the good folks at the Leronese Human Rights Office aren't in the loop about the whole memory wipe and hit job protocol. If I can get to them, maybe there's a shot at wiping the slate clean.
You're wanted for murder.
Is that warrant even valid across star systems?
It's a risky bet.
Quentin shrugged. Chen remained silent, pondering. I want to talk to Sana. I want to tell her I'm alive. But she'd probably blab to Gary, and then who knows? They might find themselves targeted. Stepping closer, Chen laid a hand on Quentin's shoulder.
Deep down, what do you really want?
Quentin swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. All I want is to be back with my family, watch my kids grow. I can't stand the thought of them grieving me as if I'm gone for good.
Looks like you've got a giant to slay then.
Chapter 19. Drillia 7 UG. A week after Chen, Ruby, and Quentin returned to the temple, a man with brown skin and a cropped afro materialized unexpectedly at Chen's tea setting, his presence causing a stir among them. Shocked, the three friends shuffled back and away from the table. With a gesture of peace, he introduced himself.
I have been monitoring your group. My name is Matthias, and I serve as an agent for the Leronese government. The drone you encountered, observing you and Anna, was under my command.
Ruby's eyes bulged.
That mosquito drone was yours?
He confirmed with a simple nod.
Anna, is she alive?
She asked.
She is not deceased.
He confirmed.
Where is she now?
Ruby pressed.
She finds herself in the future.
How is that possible?
Ruby's voice rose a pitch.
She can time travel too.
The structure known as the Amethyst Pyramid within Dragon Mouth acts as a gateway through time. It also enables her to teleport and shapeshift in the present time, from the river connected to it.
Quentin Dry wrung his hands. You discovered this by?
Driven by curiosity after her sudden departures, I traveled to Dragon Mouth, and then to Ghost Creek. There I encountered her, unable to move by the water.
he said, maintaining a detached tone.
Unable to move.
Ruby echoed, concern in her voice.
Correct. She was paralyzed,
he confirmed, his expression unchanged as they processed the information. Chen, his face cradled in his hands, absorbed the revelation.
She's paralyzed then. I remember she said she was.
Her consciousness remains intact. Through our collaboration, she orchestrated the escape of 200 villagers from an imminent disaster.
Ruby clarified.
Because of the volcano.
He confirmed with a nod.
Triggered a tsunami in the river.
And they escaped to the future.
Chen sought confirmation. Another nod from him, his hand brushing his stubble.
But if she was paralyzed, then how?
Ruby asked.
I carried her, and then passed her to another villager to take 200 years into the future.
Matthias cleared his throat.
I've decided. I'll join your fight against Drillia 7UG.
Ruby could barely contain herself as she gripped the edge of the tabletop.
We have to save my mother and sister.
Quentin felt a chill of apprehension. Despite his fears, his commitment to Ruby and his word bound him.
I'm in as well,
declared Chen, despite Quentin's attempt to hide his amusement. Chen, catching Quentin's look, added,
Age hasn't dulled my sense of justice.
Despite their attempts to convince Chen he had contributed enough, the old man had made up his mind.
And your name?
Chen inquired of the agent.
Agent Matthias. My physical body lies in a location above a river which is connected to another one of those pyramids.
Not the one in Dragon Mouth?
Ruby asked.
No, this one is located in central Boatkong.
Is that a time machine too? Quentin asked.
I'm not sure whether they are machines, but yes, there are many time portals throughout the Euphorian Alliance. The magical river in central Boatkong supplies my well.
Matthias shared.
You live there,
Ruby said.
I do now. I recently purchased a property here.
Quentin couldn't help but express his astonishment. He blew out his cheeks and shook his head.
Ah, yes, central Boatkong. Is Penkarang near Lumpur?
Chen asked.
Just above it,
Matthias replied.
We were just there,
Ruby admitted.
Maybe we should have stayed longer.
I've surveyed Lumpur,
Matthias informed them.
The mudflats there won't last. The water levels are rising because on monsoon season. Soon they will flood.
Ruby suggested.
We could look into renting one of the stilted houses for a retreat.
Quentin pondered the feasibility. Could that actually work? Matthias affirmed.
It's a plausible strategy.
A week later, Quentin, Chen, and Ruby returned to Lumpur in central Boatkong. They were acclimating to their stilted home as the monsoon made its presence known, with rain cascading off the angled wooden roof in voluminous sheets, transforming the landscape below into a flooded panorama. As they convened on the balcony, protected by the sloping roof, Ruby scanned the tempestuous sky.
Matthias promised he'd join us when it rained.
Chen, amidst a ritual to repel the mosquitoes, speculated,
Maybe Penkarang is dry today.
But it's just up the hill from here.
Ruby countered, puzzled by the absence. Quentin laid out a rug for their next move. Should we continue without him? It seems like the ideal moment. Ruby agreed. Quentin turned to Chen. Are you ready, Chen? Chen, with a measured look towards Ruby, affirmed. Ruby, though visibly anxious, committed to their plan.
Do we fold the roof now?
First, we trigger our orb shield. Quentin reminded. With the shield in place and the roof retracted, rain inundated their makeshift sanctuary. The monsoon pounded onto the wooden floor, drenching it after days of dryness. They lay on a rug, huddled together in their orb shield shelter. Quentin reminded himself of their plan and telepathically instructed Ruby and Chen to have autonomy in their actions. He also asked for permission to possess Drillia 7UG's director. As he appeared in a luxurious kitchen atop a lunar mountain, he almost dropped his mug of hot chocolate in awe of the new environment. Under a dome of glass, a brunette woman with an impassive expression was loading suitcases into an elevator. Quentin rubbed the back of his slender neck, trying to appear casual.
I need you to deactivate all detonation devices in everyone here,
he said in a feminine voice with a different accent to his. The woman remained unfazed.
I can't do that without an identification check signature.
Pretending ignorance, Quentin asked.
How do I do that?
Suspicious, she began to move towards an emergency button. Panicked, Quentin gasped and called out to Chen or Ruby, in his mind, to possess the woman before she could stop them. Instead of pressing the emergency button, she halted and told him to turn on his data globe. Quentin let out a sigh of relief as he pressed the on button and accepted the call. A middle-aged woman with heavy makeup and bleached blonde hair appeared on the screen. Her features were tense with worry.
Go to the spaceship immediately,
she urged.
We've detected a security breach and our engineers are working on reactivating it.
Panicked, Quentin asked.
Where are they?
They're at home with me,
the woman replied.
What about our mammies and children?
There won't be any time once your spaceship leaves,
she explained.
Make sure all guards are in their cryobuds.
Desperate to find a solution, Quentin asked if anyone else could deactivate the bombs without arousing suspicion. The woman replied that only his identification check would work, but she warned him to be careful as they couldn't let the magicians know how to prevent the explosion. Before ending the call, the woman told Quentin she loved him and urged him to stay safe. He sighed and ran a hand through the short hair of the body he was inhabiting, feeling disgusted by how easily Kathrella and her mother were willing to sacrifice others for their own gain. Ruby had changed her form into an invisible ghost, while Chen possessed Kathrella's brunette maid. Ruby offered to possess Kathrella's mother and deactivate the bombs while also getting security to release all mothers and children so they could escape together. But Quentin hesitated, afraid that someone may have already warned the woman about potential possession attempts. He had another idea and expressed it mindfully to his friends. Instead of possessing her, can you check CCTV footage to see how Kathrella usually deactivates the bombs?
Shapeshift into someone,
Ruby said. Maybe.
What excuse could I give for monitoring surveillance?
She asked. This isn't easy. Quentin stretched his neck and stumbled towards the kitchen counter to pour a glass of whiskey. How do women manage to walk in these shoes?
I have no idea.
Ruby giggled.
Maybe some flirtation could help.
Chen smiled, now speaking through Zoe, the maid's body, as he clasped his hands behind his back. What? Quentin asked.
Expressing the fact you forgot the code while flirting with a man might help.
Chen smiled again.
They always fall for a woman in distress. It makes them feel important and useful.
That's a good idea. Quentin agreed mindfully. But what about her mother? Actually, Ruby, can you possess Kathrella's mother? Contact me through her data globe. We can pretend to talk casually and ease the tension.
Sure thing,
Ruby said telepathically.
I'm inside Kathrella's mother now. But she's angry and invading my thoughts. I'll try to block her out.
Quentin frowned. That's strange. Kathrella is silent in my mind.
I know what you're trying to do.
Kathrella's voice echoed in his head with hatred.
You'll pay for this, Quentin. I know powerful people who will make sure of it. Or is it Quinn, the mass murderer? How interesting that I have different memories here. Did you know your brother was having an affair with your wife?
He shuddered and reached for his whiskey, quickly downing it to quell Kathrella's fiery presence within him. The data globe buzzed, and Quentin opened it around himself.
Hello, darling,
Ruby said in Kathrella's mother's form. He smirked.
Hello, mother dear. What do you want now?
I've changed my plans.
Oh, really?
I want you to deactivate everyone.
Mummy, that sounds risky.
Not at all. If we are under attack, I want our girls to survive.
What are you doing, Ruby?
Chen spoke telepathically to both of them.
Changing her mother's orders.
Ruby explained to him in all of their minds.
I don't trust the Leranese Interstellar Police or the Leranese Secret Service.
Me neither, Quentin agreed, using telepathy as well.
We didn't plan this,
Chen said.
Please trust me,
Ruby pleaded.
But I thought you wanted them all dead.
Quentin remarked aloud for the sake of any surveillance.
No, I've changed my mind,
Ruby said from the blonde in the data globe.
They have value. Get someone to send more ships.
Oh, Mummy, I'm not sure how to do that. It's not something I usually handle.
Then get help,
Kathrella's mother commanded. Quentin hobbled over to the intercom.
These shoes are killing me.
They're terrible for your posture.
Chen informed them all through his mind.
You can't imagine the health problems associated with blocked ether flow.
I wish I could take them off, Quentin grumbled.
Why not pretend to be sick?
Ruby suggested telepathically.
Take off the shoes and carry them over your shoulder. Then find a hero who wants to come to the aid of a helpless woman.
Yes, good idea.
Chen agreed. Quentin pushed the button on the intercom once again. A woman's voice greeted.
Hello, Director Kathrella. How may I assist you today?
I'm exhausted and my mother keeps making demands. I can't handle this workload anymore. Can someone please help me?
Second in line?
The woman on the intercom asked. Quentin chewed his bottom lip before answering.
Yes.
Would you like Colonel Binberg to come to your sky bubble, or would you prefer to meet him in the General Assembly?
Can he come here? My feet are killing me.
Quentin took off Kathrella's shoes and placed them by a chair facing the lunar landscape. The view reminded him of Lorth, where he posed as a methane rig worker, except there was no liquid methane here. He paced back and forth, thoughts swirling in his mind about how human traffickers were getting away with their crimes. Didn't Polymnia's government know there was a slave camp on one of its moons? He paused and quickly accessed a security check on Cathrella's data globe, scanning his eyes, fingertips, and hair DNA. When he reached the 4-digit passcode bar, he sighed and rubbed his smooth jaw. Did Colonel Benberg know the code, or did Cathrella's mom? Could Cathrella hear him now?
Of course I can.
She sneered in his mind.
I'll never give you Drillia 7UG's passcode. Never.
He drew in a sharp breath as the central baraglass stem unfolded, revealing a Nurnurian man, the same race as his beloved Nurium. Colonel Benberg looked intimidating in tight black soldier wear that blended with his black and red striped skin. His green eyes stood out. Was he mixed race? Younger than expected, he looked strong and agile. Colonel Benberg strode in and dropped to one knee, waiting for something from Quentin. Frowning, Quentin shuffled closer. Benberg took hold of his hand and kissed it.
Cathrella, did you call me for business or pleasure?
What did that mean? Was she sleeping with this man?
Business.
He straightened up.
How can I help you?
My mother wants to ship all our mammies and girls out as soon as possible. She believes the magicians will raid Drillia 7UG.
She's changed her mind. I thought she was going to let Drillia 7U be destroyed.
Quentin shook his head.
She said it would be a waste of money.
There are 180 concubines ready in cryosleep, but no one is interested in buying the remaining 10,000 girls who failed their concubine exams.
A chill ran up Quentin's spine, but he kept his face impassive. He hadn't realized there were so many slaves on this moon encampment.
My mother wants them shipped out immediately. She knows someone who will buy them.
Colonel Benberg pointed at Cathrella's bar.
May I?
In a daze, Quentin nodded his approval.
You'll be letting down a lot of clients if they don't take their early exams,
Benberg said.
My mother disagrees. Just do it.
Colonel Benberg's expression shifted to one of disappointment as he muttered under his breath, pouring himself a drink and then quickly downing it before pouring another one.
I hope you're making the right decision.
Chen said telepathically.
Does anyone know how to fly spaceships?
Quentin grimaced, remembering his previous encounter with the Vorian ship that had hijacked his own vessel. If they're anything like the Vorian ship, no. Ruby's voice echoed through space-time, reminding them all of their mission.
The pilots will follow my orders and we can continue rescue operations once these slaves have landed on habitable planets.
Quentin shook his head. That will be a difficult task. Ruby persisted.
At least there will be oxygen and a safer environment for them to escape from.
Colonel Benberg finished his second drink and turned to Quentin with a serious expression.
Are you positive your mother wants everyone sent away?
Quentin nodded in confirmation.
And so soon?
Again, Quentin nodded.
Let me talk to her.
Benberg rubbed his eyes wearily and approached Quentin.
Maybe I can convince her otherwise.
You can try, but she won't be happy.
Benberg playfully winked at Quentin and pinched his bottom. Quentin maintained eye contact and forced a smile. Benberg used his data globe to call Ruby.
Cathrella informed me that you're planning to evacuate all women from Drillia 7UG immediately.
That's correct,
Ruby responded, her face heavily made up.
And I hope you're not trying to persuade me otherwise.
We'll need a lot of tachyon spaceships for that, unless you want to consider more cost-effective cruisers.
I can afford tachyon ships. That's what I prefer.
It will create heavy traffic in orbit, considering we only have 3 launch pads.
How many spaceships will we need?
Will the mammies be evacuated as well?
Everyone,
Ruby confirmed.
With the mammies, girls, and staff included, that is approximately 15,000 people.
Ruby simply nodded in response.
30 spaceships would be required for that. It's impossible and will bankrupt you.
Just think of the profit I'll make by selling off all those humans once they're evacuated.
Ruby countered. Benberg frowned.
Spaceships are more costly than slaves. If they were all concubines, it wouldn't be an issue. But only 180 of them are designated for that role.
Quentin interjected with a telepathic suggestion. Why not tell him that you received a high offer from someone, but it's top secret? Benberg ran his fingers through his black and red stubble.
Leave the mammies behind. Maybe we could leave some of the children and babies too.
A wave of heat rushed through Quentin's body. He couldn't believe how heartless Benberg was.
No,
Ruby stated firmly.
I have a lucrative offer for their services.
How can a mummy be more valuable than a droid?
Benberg questioned.
It's confidential,
Ruby replied coyly.
I'll explain everything once everyone is evacuated. Those mammies are extremely valuable assets.
Quentin had to stifle a laugh at Ruby's acting skills.
Bring the spaceships immediately,
Ruby said in the form of the mother.
Our business will collapse if we stay here much longer, traffic or no traffic. The girls, babies and mammies are our key to a brighter future.
I'm not entirely sure.
Don't question me. I've consulted with my accountants. Will you assist us or not?
Benberg bowed his head in submission.
Yes, Mom.
Before you go, I have another request,
Ruby added. Benberg raised an eyebrow expectantly.
Cathrella is extremely ill.
Quentin suddenly had an idea and spoke it through his mind. Tell him to put Cathrella into cryosleep immediately. Then I can occupy someone else's body, such as Colonel Benberg's, while Cathrella's unconscious. As if reading their thoughts, Benberg inquired,
When should Cathrella go into cryosleep?
Now,
Ruby replied.
Along with everyone else.
But there are only enough cryobuds for 200 people while we wait for more spaceships.
Then put our crew and the others I mentioned into cryosleep first,
Ruby instructed.
They're already in it,
Benberg responded, giving Quentin a confused look.
Perfect.
Quentin smiled, then said in Ruby's mind, You'll need to inhabit Cathrella's mother until our mission is complete.
I hope the rain continues.
Ruby muttered back telepathically.
If we deactivate the detonation devices and quickly move Cathrella to cryosleep, we can take turns occupying her mother's body.
Chen suggested mindfully. Or we could kill her, Quentin said. Chen hissed disapprovingly.
That's not you speaking, that's Quinn. Stay focused.
Colonel Benberg interrupted their conversation before Quentin's murderous thoughts could be explored further.
Are you feeling well enough to go into cryosleep? It could be dangerous if you have a bug or...
It's fine, I just need to shut down everyone else first,
Quentin assured him. In Cathrella's body, he walked over to the baroglass console and sat, gazing out at the horizon.
Deactivate them then,
Benberg said.
But I've forgotten the code,
Quentin admitted.
Call your mum back and ask for it again,
he suggested.
She doesn't remember it either.
Benberg stood up abruptly and turned to face Quentin.
What's going on, Cathrella?
What do you mean?
Quentin played dumb.
There's something suspicious happening,
Benberg accused.
No, we just forgot the password. It happens all the time,
Cathrella lied. Benberg shook his head in disbelief.
Don't you know the code?
Chen asked urgently in their minds. Only Cathrella and her mother know it.
Dear,
Chen muttered.
What can we do now?
We could threaten them, Quentin suggested, a cruel idea forming in his mind.
Perhaps that will work.
Chen agreed reluctantly.
I need to remain inside Cathrella's mother.
Ruby reminded them.
How will you carry out this threat?
We've never turned the detonation devices off,
Quentin told Colonel Benberg.
So we forgot the PIN code.
Matthias here. Can anyone hear me?
The Lironi spy's voice rang out in Quentin's mind. A warm sensation spread through Quentin's chest. With a Lironese agent in the room, perhaps their mission would be completed quicker.
I can,
Ruby said.
I can too,
Chen added.
I'm disguised as her maid with dark hair.
Anyone in the sexy blonde?
Matthias asked. Quentin squinted. You mean the woman in the black catsuit?
Yep.
That's me, and this sexy blonde is the director of Drelia 7UG. She's an evil woman.
I don't know the code,
Colonel Benberg admitted, unaware of Quentin's internal conversation with 3 other body snatchers.
Is Ruby inside him?
Matthias clarified.
No,
Ruby replied.
I'm actually inside the sexy blonde's mother on Zars.
Damn.
Matthias cursed.
We can hear you over that many light years.
It seems so,
she confirmed.
Well, I'm currently in a CCTV camera. Any ideas how I can help?
We need to know a passcode,
Chen explained.
This Nenorian has no clue about it. Only the director and her mother have that information.
Ruby, Quentin warned with a fluttering feeling in his borrowed stomach. Don't think too loudly. The director can pick up on our thoughts.
I know,
she replied, with annoyance evident in her tone.
She's been pestering me since I arrived. But if I have any good ideas, I can't keep quiet about them. What should we do? The rain will stop soon.
Matthias sighed.
Let's take them to the bathroom. We can tie them up and wait until the rain stops.
That won't work,
Ruby objected.
The guards will notice and sound the alarm.
What if we disable the CCTV?
Chen suggested. Matthias said,
Too risky.
Maybe Matthias is right,
Ruby agreed.
Quentin and Chen, you both go to the bathroom together. Quentin, tell this colonel that your maid needs to wash you.
A sense of unease prickled on the back of Quentin's borrowed neck. That sounds suspicious.
Not at all,
Ruby reassured him.
You'd be surprised at what wealthy people ask their staff to do.
Quentin settled into a comfortable seat as the colonel helped himself to another drink. Ruby suggested that Matthias appear in the bathroom with a rope, tie Quentin up, and create a laser gun. They would then switch places. Quentin becoming someone intimidating while asking for a PIN code or threatening to harm the woman they were after, Cathrella. Chen proposed an alternate plan of threatening to harm her mother instead. As they discussed their options, Matthias checked for surveillance in the bathroom and declared it clear. Ruby dismissed the idea of Matthias inhabiting the colonel, stating that he was better off remaining ignorant. The scene changed to darkness and the sound of water below, followed by a scream that jolted Quentin back to reality. He shivered in the humid air and marveled at how quickly it had stopped raining. Ruby and Chen panicked, fearing that their plan had been exposed, but they waited for an hour until Chen's remote buzzed from the rug. Quentin opened it like a globe and saw Matthias's worried face on the screen. He explained that Cathrella's mother had heard all their plans while imprisoned by Ruby inside of her mind. Once the rain had stopped, though, and their bodies had become dispossessed, they were free to be themselves again. Colonel Benberg had put Cathrella in cryosleep after learning everything. Once the second spaceship left, the place would blow up. Quentin cursed, realizing their plan had failed. Chapter 20. Secret Service. Quentin, feeling revitalized from his morning Qigong practice, joined Ruby and Chen at the tea table in the Kuan Temple in West Bokong. Quentin sat with the upright posture of a Quan monk, a testament to his healing leg and improved posture. Chen's holophone buzzed to life, punctuating the moment and revealing Matthias in miniature holographic form atop the screen. Quentin, managing a smile amidst his surprise, listened as Matthias started the conversation.
You have returned to Chen's temple.
That's right, Quentin responded, his interest aroused. Matthias delivered a shocking revelation regarding recent advancements, attributing credit to Anna for the unexpected information.
She inhabited Colonel Benberg, and just as Cathrella was drifting off into cryogenic sleep, she asked her what the PIN code was.
And Cathrella just gave it to Benberg.
No, but she thought it, and Anna saw the numbers in her mind.
Quentin was momentarily astonished, his facial expression remaining stoic as he absorbed the disclosure. Ruby stiffened and the tendons in her neck stuck out as she asked,
"And what of my mother and sister?"
Matthias informed her they were aboard the first spacecraft, leaving their destination uncertain, much to Ruby's disappointment. Matthias then shared the astonishing news of Anna's return to her homeworld, Zars, through the time portal. This revelation brought a mix of relief and wonder to the group. As Chen poured more tea, they silently acknowledged a gesture of celebration between them. Quentin humorously suggested upgrading their celebratory drink, only to be reminded by Chen of the temple's sanctity against alcohol. Quentin suggested, "I've got disguises. Why not celebrate in a bar or club?"
"I'm not too keen on the idea of a bar crowded with guys,"
Ruby said. Chen reassured her with a gentle touch. "Let's not worry about that now." Curious, Ruby shifted the topic.
"Can Anna move around? Is she okay?"
The light in Matthias's eyes dimmed, his optimism fading.
"That's uncertain at the moment."
Clutching her knees closer, Ruby voiced her hope.
"She's got to recover. Zars is advanced. They'll have something to help her."
Turning to Quentin, Matthias broached a new subject.
"Quentin, I've got an assignment. Training on teleporting via Anna's means with a new division in the Lebanese Secret Service. Interested in joining?"
Quentin clutched his hands at his chest. "Absolutely, count me in." Ruby, her concern clear, interjected,
"But it sounds risky. You should stay."
Ignoring her caution, Quentin signaled Matthias to go on.
"Zebulon, my superior, he's briefed on you. He's open to you joining the training. We'll ensure your safety afterward."
Matthias glanced at Ruby, acknowledging her worries.
"But Ruby has a point. It's not without its risks."
Quentin, rubbing his neck, sought reassurance. "You'll be around to guide, right?" Matthias hesitated.
"My plans might take me elsewhere, possibly to infiltrate Talmadon. The training camp's equipped for continuous rain simulation, though."
Chen's gaze bounced between Ruby and Quentin.
"Is Liron where you want to be?"
Quentin didn't hesitate. "Absolutely."
"At least aging isn't a concern with cryosleep,"
Matthias added, trying to lighten the mood. "And the training camp's location?" Quentin asked.
"That remains confidential, but I'll arrange for your pickup tonight,"
Matthias assured. Ruby and Chen shared a look of mutual concern. Quentin, his voice thick with emotion, tried to reassure them. "I'll make sure we say our goodbyes. And if I can't make it back to my home moon, I'll just come back here." Chen, visibly moved, affirmed Quentin's place among them.
"You'll always have a home here, Quentin, my son."
With a heavy heart, Quentin gave Matthias his decision. "Let my ride know I'll be ready." In a helicopter, Quentin, Matthias, and a few other operatives headed towards a secluded area beneath an expansive barraglass urban development in the sky. They were embarking on a covert operation in a forest known for its moderate climate. Concealed by the dense foliage, they arranged their camp around a significant structure that spanned the river. This facility had a magical river running through it, and the white canvas dome mimicked continuous rain inside, aiding their instruction in stealth and transformation, linked to a mystical pyramid upstream. For 2 weeks, Quentin and the team refined their skills under Matthias's guidance, mastering the ability to change form and control both organisms and devices, creating a variety of imagined tools and shields. Their instruction focused on moving unseen, a task made simpler by the constant downpour created within their training dome as they lay on metal lily pads over the river that ran through it. Their preparation also included a visit to the secretive headquarters of the Skywater Shift Department, located on Quentin's home moon, within a vast desert. During a late-day walk, Matthias confided in Quentin about a son he recently discovered he had, pointing towards the sky as he spoke of him.
He lives in a boarding school in a sky city, but I will take him out soon.
Ascending a demanding slope, Quentin found the journey challenging, in contrast to Matthias's easy stride. The conversation turned towards Quentin's association with their group, with Matthias expressing a personal wish for Quentin's reunion with his family. Quentin's straightforward admission about his spouse's involvement with his sibling brought a significant reaction from Matthias, highlighting a moment of personal connection amidst their operational relationship. That evening, Matthias and Quentin entered the expansive canvas dome where the agents carried out their water wayfaring. The Laronese Secret Service had positioned the tent over a river and placed human-sized metal lily pads along the river for lying down and meditating. Overhead was a sprinkler system for constant simulated rain. The two men positioned themselves on the metallic surfaces within their shelter, the orb shield enveloping them and the river's expanse below.
Want to lead this operation?
Matthias asked. Quentin deferred. No, you're better suited for this task. With that settled, they eased into a state of focused relaxation, their consciousness shifting form as they materialized amidst the verdant foliage of a towering structure. Now as insects within this bioluminescent environment, they observed the sporadic departure of employees from a prominent building. Matthias broke the silence, suggesting they adopt the forms of employees to infiltrate the facility. Quentin, now a moth with a mottled pattern, expressed uncertainty about their access levels. He proposed a direct approach. Why not target the head of Star Gem's harvester's data? We could bypass security that way.
Let's attempt it.
Quentin possessed a woman's body inside a dark chamber. 2 data globes cast the only light. A panicked thought from a female employee echoed in his mind, fearing paralysis. Quentin, taken aback, contemplated offering reassurance. Next to him, a Silta woman caught his attention as Matthias's thoughts reached him, confirming their exchanged identities. Quentin, now in a Tlashua form, responded to Matthias's query, acknowledging their swapped bodies. Quentin had body snatched a purple-skinned Tlashua, while Matthias was occupying the body and brain of a golden-skinned Xilta. The Xilta woman, embodying Matthias, confirmed her identity with a tug of her braid. Quentin talked telepathically in the shared mind of the Tlashua woman. He addressed her concerns directly, explaining their temporary occupation of their bodies for a mission, hoping to ease the woman's distress. Her disbelief was obvious, yet Quentin shared his backstory, hoping to forge a connection. Her interest increased at the mention of Lorth, assuming wealth from his past life. Quentin admitted his previous affluence, hinting at the assets still held by his family. Her voice wavered.
But what happened then?
Quentin explained, ran into trouble with space pirates. Talmadon played around with my memories, swapped them out. But the real ones found their way back. Now, I'm just trying to get back to my folks with no drama.
Think you could help me out financially if I assist?
She asked. Yeah. Need your account details. She was skeptical.
Will you remember them?
Just send it over to my data globe. Quentin instructed, tapping into his training for transmitting and storing information. Capture her account number. She hesitated, still doubtful. Quentin pressed, how much are we talking?
Really? You'd pay?
If I don't follow through, expose me. Name your price. She mulled over the proposition.
It's not simple.
Guess you'll have to trust me then. Her demand was steep.
Given your star gem hauls at Trion, 10,000 should be fair.
I'll double it. Quentin offered without hesitation.
Deal.
She agreed. Quentin reached out to Matthias telepathically. My host's on board with the plan. Guided by his temporary host, Quentin manipulated the controls within the data globe, erasing his digital footprint.
Done?
Matthias checked in. That's what she says. Matthias looked bewildered for a moment, absorbing something.
You're clear to enter Liron now.
Seems so. Quentin confirmed, but the mood shifted as Matthias shared a troubling insight.
The person I'm with just filled me in. You're tagged for major crimes.
Quentin gritted his teeth and scrubbed a hand over his face. Better locked up than dead, I suppose.
We need to leave, Quentin. Zebulon might have a way out.
Quentin's mind was elsewhere, though. First, I need to see if Sana's still with Gary. Matthias exhaled deeply.
You plan to see her, then? I'll keep an eye out from the dome. Just tread lightly.
Join me, will you? Quentin asked.
For what reason?
I just need someone there with me, Quentin admitted, hoping for support. Matthias consented in a light jest.
Let's just hope Sana doesn't shoo us away.
She won't. She's deeply into her Quan practices. And she's a vegan, Quentin added, trying to lighten the mood. Teleporting again, they appeared in Quentin's family home, set in the chalk cliffs of Liron's South Pole. As they positioned themselves by the coffee table, the window offered them a panoramic view of the sea, with the gas giant's vibrant swirls above. Quentin felt nostalgic. This is it, our haven inside the cliffs. But his warmth quickly turned to concern as he spotted Sana, distressed and alone. Damn, Quentin murmured, seeing her tears. I need to be there for her.
Hold on,
Matthias cautioned, buzzing around.
Let me ensure your approach is safe. Show me the nearest security feed.
Quentin's heart ached to comfort Sana, noticing the changes in her once fuller figure. Matthias returned shortly.
She's all yours to talk to.
Appreciate it, buddy. You can head out now, Quentin said, ready for the moment.
I'll wait by the river.
Matthias offered before departing. Quentin adjusted his appearance. Let's make this look normal. Suddenly clad in everyday attire, he moved closer. Sana? She lurched to her feet and gasped, hand flying up to her throat.
Quentin? Is that really you?
He confirmed with a nod. Overwhelmed, she rushed into his embrace, her tears drenching the material covering his chest. He enveloped her, breathing in the familiar essence of her being, his lips meeting her tear-streaked cheeks, eyes catching the amber spark in hers.
They said you were gone.
I know, he soothed.
But here you are. What about the kids?
You can't let them know about this, Quentin said.
Why? What's happened?
She pressed for answers. He paused, his past looming. My work. There's a lot you don't know. Dangerous stuff. If Talmadon finds out I'm here. Sana silenced him with a gesture, sensing the peril.
Is it risky for me, too?
He could only nod. Her voice cracked.
Will we meet again?
Definitely, he promised.
When will it be safe for the kids to know?
Quentin massaged his neck, uncertain. Hard to say.
And where have you been?
He revealed a part of his new reality. I've stumbled into something unique. I can shape change to work undercover. Watch this. He put his hands on his hips. Make me a rabbit. He looked up at her slender form from the floor below her. Sana was stunned.
Quentin, this is insane.
Change me back, he requested. After demonstrating his newfound ability, she studied him closely, disbelief in her eyes.
Is it really you?
Yeah, it's a game-changing skill, but it's a gamble. If they catch you, you're screwed.
About Gary and me.
I'm aware. It's okay, he reassured her. Overwhelm momentarily washed over Sana.
I'll end it with him. You and our children matter. I can't wrap my head around you being here. Where have you been hiding?
In Voria. I've been using this tech. God, Sana, losing my memories, getting them back. It's been a whirlwind. Suddenly, they heard voices approaching. Sana held his gaze, urgency in her grip.
The kids are coming. Leave now, but please come back. If you're in danger, become.
She allowed herself a small laugh.
That rabbit. I've always had a soft spot for them.
Turn me into a fly, Quentin requested, seeking to observe without being seen. As he ascended to the ceiling, his heart ached for a glimpse of his children. Quentin navigated the forest trail towards Zebulon's Baraglass sanctuary, its exterior a fusion of clarity and clouded white. He tapped the entrance, prompting it to part ways. Zebulon, positioned behind his workstation, dismissed a hovering data globe.
Have a seat, something to drink.
Declining with a shake of his head, Quentin settled into a nearby chair.
What brings you here?
I'm seeking a way back to my family in Liron.
Have you erased your records from Talmadon?
Quentin shared his dilemma. I made an attempt, yet I'm still flagged under an interstellar arrest warrant for actions linked to Quinn. Zebulon, his orange skin and amber-colored eyes catching the light, contemplated silently before inquiring,
Did you erase your employment data?
Yes, but the woman I possessed to do it might speak up, despite the compensation I provided. Zebulon recognized the flaw in their method.
It's problematic our souls touching theirs. Despite attempts to prevent it, our thoughts leak through. What's your plan?
I'm thinking of taking Talmadon to court for their violations. Zebulon cautioned,
Consider the implications. Talmadon could influence Liron's governance, Liron's wealth. Do you know its source?
Star gems. Quentin acknowledged. But it's not fair. My goal is to break their power. Zebulon stood, leaning on a cane.
As previously discussed with Matthias, the provision of my assistance depends on your cooperation. You've already disrupted Drillia 7UG. Join my cause instead. A legal battle with Talmadon endangers your loved ones.
Quentin felt a heavy pull in his chest, reclining as he processed the proposition. Can you guarantee my safety in Liron without resorting to disguises?
Absolutely.
Overcome with emotion, Quentin contemplated the offer.
It is imperative that you adhere to my instructions. Maintaining silence regarding your ordeal and Talmadon's activities is of utmost importance.
Can I be with my family again on Liron? With a nod, Zebulon rendered the dome's walls transparent, immersing them in the surrounding nature. He then stretched, signaling readiness. Quentin smiled as he said, I'm yours, as long as I return home quickly.
Agreed.
Zebulon confirmed, setting the terms of their agreement. In the temple's hallway, Chen and Ruby stood with Quentin to say their goodbyes. Though he wasn't one for physical affection, Quentin hugged the old man tightly. Thank you for everything, he said sincerely. I wouldn't have found myself without your guidance and your laser technology. Chen waved his hand dismissively.
It's no big deal. You're like a son to me, Quentin. Cats don't need to thank their parents.
Quentin closed his eyes and smiled at the thought of his own aging parents. He promised himself he would visit them before it was too late. Ruby's face remained bruised from the attacks she had endured at the Fire Slicer Syndicate, even after weeks. Quentin reached out his hand, knowing she wasn't one for hugs. But to his surprise, she pulled him into a bear hug. Tears welled up in Quentin's eyes, and he fought to hold them back as she kissed him gently on the cheek.
I'll miss you so much,
she whispered.
Go on now,
Chen urged, shooing Quentin towards the door.
The agents are waiting for you. Get into that cryo egg before Matthias' boss changes his mind.
Quentin pressed his hand to his heart and bowed deeply to both of them. As the door shut behind him, he could hear their quiet sobs echoing in the hallway. You just listened to episode 3 of Star Gems, book 1 of the CyberStars saga, written and created by John Roberts, narrated by AI. Don't forget to listen to episode 4 of book 1, Star Gems, by John Roberts. And especially, please don't forget to like and subscribe.